Nice and kind, leading cobalt ice. He's a blue, cute, and deadly little guy. Sing through the fog, old gods he's slayed. Go7, 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 Go7. Go7, 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 Go7. Go7, king of the game. I believe in you, that's what he'll say. Nice and kind, leading cobalt ice. He's a blue, cute, and deadly little guy. Sing through the fog, old gods he's slayed. Go7, 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 Go7. Go7, 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 Go7. Go7, king of the game. I believe in you, that's what he'll say. Nice and kind, leading cobalt ice. He's a blue, cute, and deadly little guy. Sing through the fog, old gods he's slayed. Go7, 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 Go7. Go7, 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 Go7. Go7, king of the game. I believe in you, that's what he'll say. Nice and kind, leading cobalt ice. He's a blue, cute, and deadly little guy. Sing through the fog, old gods he's slayed. Go7, 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 Go7. Go7, 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 Go7.
Hello, hello, hello. It's been a hot minute. We are back. I think we added, it was over 100 songs of a wide variety. Although a lot of it is going to be house music, whatever that really is. I hope all my audio is working though. So with the Happy Friday Shadow, all hail the King of the Penguins. All hail. Everyone has been doing well. We're gonna be starting off with Cadeor versus Bakuryu. Kindle versus Andy on Goldfish Princess. I got them tunes. I've got hundreds of songs. You predict that your game will be covered in 1 to 2 replay streams. Maybe. Let's give Andy Cobalt Ice. Andy. Yellow card. We've seen this matchup quite a few times. It kind of boils down to Kindle is stronger in the early game because he actually has a day-to-day. Andy's stronger in the mid game because that's when his super is as powerful, as most powerful. Because once everything is, all the properties are owned and you got big armies staring at each other, Kindle's super starts becoming a big threat for Andy because she gets enough firepower to start one-shotting his stuff. So it's kind of Kindle strong at the start. Andy has like a blossoming of strength and can sometimes win the game immediately. And then in the late game, I would give Kindle a little bit of the game. Andy's still good. It's just you can kind of blunder into situations where Kindle just wipes your entire army and then you have nothing to heal, which is your whole plan. So just how tend to see go. Good evening, all. What is this icon? Okay. So for our neutral bases, that's always a good sign. I think on this map you can kind of go for like an early airport sort of play. We might have that going on here with Kindle. We do have a very early recon from both players. If I remember correctly, the recons like to strike in these kind of regions, in these corners. They might like try one initial attack in the center and then you get off to the corners. I'd be a little bit wary about going for the center right away, because it's not that difficult for them to build a tank instead of going for a recon, and then the tank just kind of covers everything quickly. Where when it's off on the sides, not much higher chances of getting away with an attack. Kind of what Andy's doing here. Kindle's going for a double recon opener. This recon currently doesn't see anything. And if a tank gets built here, which it's not, Andy doesn't have enough cash. 1,000 short. This does mean that if Kindle gets really aggressive with this recon, which would be so gutsy, it will be able to get some sort of damage. Looks like it's just going to be scouting out here. So here you can see it has targets. Okay, I was going to say it has targets, but it might not actually capitalize on those targets because it's very likely that they could be covered by a tank. However, this infantry on the road next to the city, that's kind of kind of impossible to pass up. The recon, I think, just one-shots it, and it will be on the city, so it won't be easy. It's basically a free infantry. I don't know if it needs the plus 50% to one-shot guaranteed, or if the plus 40% is enough. Looks like it does take the comm tower too. This guy does live, which is, it's something. It's not nothing. We'll see how Andy goes about this. You can go really gutsy and try and trap the recon in by like infantry goes here, infantry goes here, infantry goes here, infantry goes here, and then you just like bring your tank down. I don't know if that's really worth it, as it, I mean, it's not the worst thing. It only gives up control of like this property potentially. You see, it doesn't really, it like kind of does that. This infantry can't reach this property here, but it can from here. So the recon would have to strike at this one. That would slow down this property capture. But there's already a surplus of infantry for the amount of captures over here. So it's not like the worst thing in the world. Trap the recon. It does look to be what Andy's. My only concern is that because there's only one tank and the recon's on the city, it's not going to die from just the tank strike. Yeah, it goes for that strike. Makes the most sense for sure. Andy hasn't lost a unit. In theory, these could be healed up with over 2 supers. And we did have this comm tower. We'll see if this recon wants to stick around and interrupt this again. I would not, personally. And in general, I wouldn't recommend going for these comm tower interrupts. Had to see the birdie in the wage cage. Well, it's because I work in special education. So at the first few weeks of the students being there tends to be the honeymoon period, and everyone's on like their best behavior, and they're trying to figure out what the boundaries are, and then sometimes they find a boundary that or expectations, and sometimes those things aren't as defined as they could be, and then you get behaviors acting up or work. Okay, so the recon did stick around. No ghost. It was covered by Alligatua. The recon did stick around to finish this infantry off, which I don't think is really that great. I don't like that it's just going to get killed off by a tank or an infantry, and denying a comm tower while there is huge fighting going on isn't that impactful. It's not like you're denying income, but it does sort of deny income because it would probably be the infantry from this comm tower that would go to the city. I only say sort of because Andy's already in position to deny that city, so it doesn't really matter. You like my thought process? I can cover in this. Okay, looks like we're rotating everything around. Tank strike. Yes, he lives at 4. This is why I'm like, it's probably not worth it. Recon gets to strike up here. In this case, this tank is covering this one. Down goes this recon. Rest in peace. Kindle getting very nice use out of the day-to-day. I think almost every attack is missing. Are we mostly lurking? Okay. So this recon's gotten really good value. It's if it was able to be killed off much faster, and which would be a case of like if it depends on the city in fire, then it wouldn't be quite so bad. But as you can see, it's been denying this city's capture for like 3 turns, as well as injure 3 different enemies, which has kind of put Kindle leaps and bounds ahead in the capture phase here. As Andy will be ending the turn behind an income. Which is really, really bad. Does have a comp tower though. Again, this is it's not just against Kindle, but in fog, and especially against Kindle, you really don't want to be moving your stuff next to cities like this. The tank is also downtown. Okay, so we have a big old group of tanks here. Anti-air copter, that's fine. I would also definitely consider going for an artillery, because the center is kind of claustrophobic, and there's some pretty nice forests and or cities that you can stand on for Kindle. For instance, like this forest puts pressure on this city, and it puts pressure on this city. And another nice thing about artillery is that they can answer teched up units, and Andy loves to tech up because teched up units have a harder time dying. But an artillery can be a great answer, of course, because it costs 6,000 funds. Like a medium tank costs 16,000 funds, almost triple the cost. And even Andy doesn't want to be wandering. Especially if the artillery is on a city. Okay. This is always really dangerous what you're seeing Andy. This is kind of an act of desperation. These infantry have no vehicle backup. They're just the only infantry in this entire right region here. And they're going in for like this interrupt while leaving themselves very exposed to full attacks. I mean, you already see the Kindle tanks can just come down here and deny these, which is really nasty about it. It might seem like fine. Like, okay, I'll lose these 2 infantry. Maybe I'll delay the city for like 2 turns. So, you know, costing them 2,000, I lose 2,000. It's going to hit a lot harder than that. Because once these infantry are gone, there's nothing defending your own properties. Start losing property. Ooh. Breakthrough. Kill off this anti-air. Get the strike from the city. Have to clear it with this recon. That worked pretty well. Decided to just use the infantry for the fighting over here, which is working out. In either case, he's going way down in the count here. We've got quite a few tanks here, but yeah, right now, if a medium tank showed up, Andy would be doing pretty decently, assuming that this city can get covered. The copter is something that could also be used against the medium tank, especially as Kindle, by attacking from a city. It's not quite so devastating, but it would definitely be an option. Never thought of using the V-boats to boost captures? Yeah. Okay. And he goes in for a bunch of strikes here. This looks like it's going to be pretty painful. The urban blight's going to be pretty painful. Go for this capture. And he might get a super after the urban blight. we'll see how it goes. The number one thing that Kindle wants to do is finish off the Andy unit. So that they can't be healed up. A cute little block there. So when Kindle uses Urban Blight, it's going to do 3 damage to everything on all opposing units that are on urban terrain. And it doubles her day-to-day. So it goes from plus 40% to plus 80% damage for attacks coming off of urban terrain, and you get the plus 10%, plus 90%. And then, of course, if you have a comp tower, you're at plus 100%. You just do double damage when you attack from urban terrain. So it kind of like enables itself. It injures the opposing units that are on urban. Missile platforms don't count. It injures the opposing units that are on urban terrains. You can clear them off and then get strikes off of them. In this case, I really would not have attacked this infantry. Andy is most definitely going to be using the super. So damaging this down to 4, not a huge deal. All the way back up to 9. Instead, just using the infantry to kill off this tank. You have a backup infantry to go for 2 strikes on it. Would be the way to go. Also, probably wouldn't hit the 8 here. Go after the 7. There might be a slim chance you can actually kill that. Okay, still got that kill, so it's fine. Helicopter, tank. Andy's in a lot of trouble here, as you might guess. Down income, does get the super, but lost quite a few units there. So in this, when you're fighting Andy, it's always better to finish off units. As you can see here, like Kindle attacked this tank. It was at 8, knocked it down to 3. Andy just pops the super. And it's back at 8. It's like, why did I even attack that? And that's something that happens a lot. Like, infantry ran up, it smacked this infantry, and then the infantry is back up at 9. Now it's healed more. So against Andy, it's pretty much always the case of don't weaken, always finish off. Against other COs, it can be more of a balancing act. In Fog, I would generally say finishing off is better. In Standard, weakening tends to be better. But weakened units in Fog still have a lot of utility, and they also have an easier time going back and repairing. Smack. Like that tank for Kindle came up here. It hit this tank, just kind of injured itself, and then Andy heals up that tank and just kills off that. So that could have been avoided by just not attacking there. Going after the 7 health might have killed it. Could have done more. And also wouldn't take so much. Okay, and he's getting some infantry kills, but gotta look at like, well, I guess Andy's doing a pretty decent job. There is like this tile here, the city that Kindle could attack with the copter from, but we kind of have a wall of stuff in the way, and we don't have another Kindle power right now. Like, get this. Oh. This is down to 0 fuel. Okay, I was gonna say it could be used to like move here and repair this guy before it attack. But if it's at 0 fuel, then it. After decides to just go down here, go for a little shot against this tank. Mighty aggressive to charge forward with that tank. Looks like Andy is going to get this city. Andy's still behind, but making leaps and bounds thanks to that Andy super, even with having units killed off. Even with Andy flipping this city, still behind it. Okay, so yeah, the tanks got killed off, which is the concern I had for Kindle. But on the right side, Andy's units are kind of inching closer and closer to Kindle's side, and they're leaving themselves exposed to urban blighted or attacked from cities. You can start getting killed off here. You have the medium tank from Kindle. It's fine to do. I would lean more towards going for a Neo tank or going for like those artillery plays I was saying before. And yeah, both players are completely out of reach. Going to make a lot of this fighting very difficult. The medium tank is nice. It will get one shots when it's attacking from urban terrain, but it won't one shot a tank that's not being attacked from urban. And that makes it worse against. If you build a Neo tank, then that just kind of one shots tanks all day, every day. Kill off that tank, looks like, and then strike here. Are we sending the anti-air in? No. There's 2 anti-airs back here for Andy, but of course those are not here. This perfectly hidden trio of infantry. Looks like we're gonna go for 1 copter strike here. Anti-copters tend to be pretty good, but they don't like to be outnumbered. Is that true? Can I change their name? Can't change it. Any builds took, I guess, enough repair costs from the urban blight, which is something that you also tend to try and avoid. So only able to build a tank and 2 infantry. Look at the unit counts though. Andy's like really happy suddenly. 30 units to 19 at the end. Still behind in unit value, which means that Andy's got a bunch of injured units, but that's not so bad for Andy in particular. Just or like the power's healing. There's still nothing over here for Andy to deal with this tank, which is probably going to be a real issue. Andy can also use some artillery. We don't quite have the super either. We're gonna go, and the anti-air kills off the copter. I'm gonna die for that. Oof. Okay, since to send both in, it's going to be okay. There isn't quite enough firepower here to completely take out these 2 anti-airs. Only 1. But like if Andy was able to get an artillery snuck into these, for instance, then Andy would be pretty happy. The medium tank would like go onto this property, kill off the anti-air, but they get a shot on it. The shot wouldn't be that devastating, but every time you weaken the medium tank, it makes it easier for the tanks to finish it off. Like, I do have a different mic, by the way. I've been using a different mic, one that's attached to my head. It's gonna have worse quality, I imagine, but I shouldn't dip out too much. My head tends to move as I'm like looking at the chat, looking at the game screen. All that. Okay. Do penguins have ears? Yeah, of course they've got ears. Not only do they have ears, they also have knees. Fun facts. Depends on the penguin. I personally can hold my breath for 33 minutes. But that's a personal record. Okay, so this is pretty good for Andy. Moving into the top left here, this is where the unit count that Andy got from the super is really starting to matter. It just becomes very difficult for Kindle to fight in all of the locations at the same time. Even if when Kindle is fighting, she's winning. And this is very good for Andy. Just to get these cities. I mean, potentially they could be stopped. The Urban Blight will delay them. Down goes the tank. We do have this copter. Seeing this copter, there's no anti-air here for Kindle. This copter first strike will end up being very positive. We do start having some recons coming in. All the cities in the top left are getting captured, which is really scary because if Andy gets those and gets an income advantage, very rapidly that income advantage will turn into a tech advantage, and then Kindle will no longer be winning these combat. I think I've covered all. Well, I haven't covered my favorite fog matches because they happened too long ago, and the replays have been lost to time. You guys are spoiled nowadays because we've got MooBots and people constantly downloading all the replays. Back in my day, if you didn't download the replay within 2 weeks, it was just gone. Okay, so we have this huge wall that Andy has just kind of built at the bottom here. It's very cute. It's definitely not like impenetrable because these are very interdisciplinary, but it's still nice. I got proof. You can look at the outcome. You can't see the game. Ooh, the medium tank's moving up here. This is like very scary, but the recon does spot that there's nothing that can deal with this medium tank right now. This is scary because the tiles on either side here are kind of difficult to clear off due to having this ocean tile be what they're leading to. So it's very easy to make it so there's only one tile to strike them from. And the medium tank is on a shoal. So if something got trapped here and artillery showed up, it's just going to die. I do a dramatic retelling of my favorite games that were lost to time. I could try. Andy, very nice, very good here to just keep fighting on this side. Like, there's the opportunity here for Andy to send these copters down here and fight these tanks. And he's like, you know what? That's real sketchy. I am not going to overextend my units down here when I could be fighting really close to my bases. That's what you want to do. And when possible, you want to be fighting on your side of the map, where you have the nice reinforcement advantage. No real reason to reveal the third copter here. And as Andy, I would stop producing copters. It would be like, start producing a medium tank a turn, maybe go for a neo tank, maybe just go triple tank, like that kind of thing. Because your opponent's going to be building anti-airs. I'm not so old that maps used to be asymmetric. I'm so old that they didn't tell you the tier that you were playing in. I'm sorry, Fluffy. I didn't want to draw attention to it. They just finished their first live stream. It's tough for them out here. Girl streamer, lol. A little, so like in this case as Kindle, I would not go for this attack. This isn't being captured next turn, and you kind of need all of the infantry that you can get at this point. If you're down in an account, you don't really want to trade it off to do 2 damage to an infantry that wasn't going to finish the capture this turn. Okay, but when I started playing, and in my very first game on Global League, I played Andy against an Eagle because, for one, I had no idea what the tier was. And also, they did not tell you what tier you were playing. You had to just know based on the band. I did win that, but definitely not. And the next game I think was Andy versus Sturm, which was honestly very lucky for me. While Andy is tier 3 and Sturm is tier 1, Andy's like the best possible tier 3 to fight Sturm. Andy's definitely turning this around. That mid-game, the mid-game boost has been really good. And unfortunately, Kindle's been kind of stuck in Urban Blight mode, which you gotta start getting out of once you get into the late game against Andy. You just need to be able to one-shot. Andy does have the income advantage. Kindle's still doing pretty well for unit value. Does clear all this out, but now you see, like, look how devastating this is. The vehicles, they win the fight, but there's no infantry left to go for the captures. All these like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cities, no pressure. That's why with this transfer copter on its way, it's still going to take a while. Honestly, Andy should just ignore this. Like, these copters should be charging in over here. So this is probably good news for Kindle. Like, this anti-air gets to smack a copter, this tank gets taken out. Andy does prevent this cap, and that was the only infantry over here, so he's going to be preventing those caps for a long time. The medium tank goes to here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's not going to have range even with the super for this fight. If it was a Neo tank, it would have moved to here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It could reach all the way there with the super. Going to join cap that. If you're going to join cap this, which it didn't actually get join capped, what you would do is you take the black boat, you move it over here, you repair this infantry up to 2, then you hit capture, then you join with the 8. As is, the cap never happened, and we're at 9 and 10, although you can still repair them. Okay, so we got the Urban Blight. This is, hits this guy, hits this guy, hits some guys in the back. But it does hit this copter. And it does activate some of these cities to be used, which is nice. So goes that copter, tank, so goes the anti-air, and goes the tank. Ooh, the Urban Blight was enough to get the one-shot. Tons of anti-units going down. This is, I mean, it's probably fine. If you're fighting Andy, you see a 5 health tank, you have to be like, well, that's not actually a 5 health tank. That is a full health. When Andy hits the super up. But against other players, or COs, you wouldn't want to do this because all the reinforcements will have a much easier time fighting over here than down here. So you'd be trading like a 9 health tank for a 5 health tank. They do have the time pressure on them, yeah. Kindle's got a lot more time. Andy goes down to 13 seconds there. Didn't even realize this was a live game. Hyper upgrade. Big heal. Ooh, this does mean the medium tank can hit this anti-air. Decides to go after the medium tank. Could probably ignore it. Go after the little tank, but it does make this medium tank harder for sure. Anyway, copter, tank, infantry. I would still probably try and go for the tech ups rather than copter count. You're on day 22, so Kindle has to capture a lot of cities here in 8 days to survive just the day limit. The single anti-infantry is going to be really annoying. Harbor starts being captured to join cap. Andy's getting a little gutsy saying the infantry down like that. We still have no indirects from either side. So, in Fog, do not lead with your copters, otherwise your opponent will have anti-air. They will just kill your copters. Lock off it. The copters are pricey. You can almost ran out of fuel. Let's see how that goes. Andy loses both those copters. The medium tank does get to fight over here, which is up, interrupt. It would be nice if Andy can kill both. This is where you're like, oh, poor medium tanks. They can't one-shot the tank. If you one-shot that tank, then you're able to hit this anti-air with a tank. I guess you still could. And if you can injure all the anti-airs, then the copter comes. So he still does, but now the tank's over here, so you get the okay. Triple infantry. Oh no! Oh, that's so bad. Okay, so this is something that a lot of people do when they're first getting kind of used to fighting Kindle. And it's like, I'm gonna do a big brain play, right? I know Kindle's going to use Urban Blight, so I'm just gonna build 3 infantry, right? That way, when I get hit with the Urban Blight, I pay very little repair cost. And then I'll have a bunch of money. But the problem is, the repair costs don't really matter. What matters is getting units into the fight. No reinforcements showing up for a whole turn is devastating. It means in 3 turns, your opponent's going to have a whole wave of vehicles, and you're going to have nothing, and you'll just lose the fight. Your teched up units might show up like a turn later, but when there's no support units, they can't do anything. So the Urban Blight does indeed happen. We get to pay slightly less money on the repairs. At the cost of like having a standing army. Maybe we're going for the battleship. True. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It does guard these 2. Battleship would be a pretty big brain play. It is still 6 days. We do go for double Neo Tank. We'll see if Andy realizes that everything just... See, so this turn, you get to attack in because you still have the reinforcements coming in. Next turn, there's going to be no reinforcements. Whoa, what was that? All right. So this copter was apparently down here. I've never seen this replay glitch. This is like a stealer kind of attack. Apparently there was a copter here. All these tanks get taken out. Usually you'd be concerned, oh no, the reinforcements are going to get to strike me now. But no, they won't. Are no reinforcements. Just have injured infantry. Pop, pop, pop. Now, should Kindle have even used Urban Blight? Probably not. I think High Society... Well, maybe High Society isn't quite that good when you're down to 2. Okay. Just don't have enough. Hyper upgrade. Do those new things reach the 2 health tank? They do reach the 2 health tank. The copter goes down, which is cute. And Andy is still successfully denying these properties. I mean, the Neotanks showing up, 2 Neotanks is a huge deal. Even if they show up a little late. I mean, Kindle can just kind of run away from them and go after this army deck currently, but they are still pretty menacing. Well, they didn't even go after the 2 health tank. They're in stealth mode. Here. Go for this capture. Kindle's gonna start taking some of these cities back. We do have 4 days though. I mean, Andy doesn't have to do much to keep these property advanced. Down goes that tank. Still being stealthy. Fortunately, it's like, I guess it's stealthy and still guarded. Okay, so we got 1 strike in with this infantry. It looks like all of these properties might fall. Neotanks have... Andy's building a bunch of tanks here, but Andy needs to build a bunch of recon. Neotanks don't see squat. So it can be really, really easy to trap. Okay. Kindle got 3 days left. Looks like they're doing pretty well. He uses Urban Blight. I would not recommend doing this. This is just a blind Urban Blight. Especially when you're dealing with a quickly coming up day limit that Urban Blight could stop captures. So definitely don't do that. Neotank can't reach. Probably should have saved the infantry to interrupt this capture. That's easier to hold. Capture's going through too. And then with the last second comeback, the Neotank didn't even move. There's only like 3 or 2 days left. That's not enough time to be setting up the Neotank trap that matters. Okay, they're even in properties. If either one is able to get a property in the next 2 days, means 3 days? Yeah, 29 and then 30. Okay, so capture has to start this turn. So if this gets interrupted for any amount of time, then it will be denied. You do have to hit it for 2 damage though. It can't just be 1, because the black boat can repair it before going for the capture. Andy could use a super this turn if Andy gets there, which should be possible because we got copters and there's anti-airs. So if Andy uses a super, then this infantry can go onto this city to start the capture. But Kindle does still have enough power for an Urban Blight. You'd have to be able to super 2 turns in a row, which would be impressive. If the infantry was a single tile closer, that'd be way better. It could just start the capture, and then the super could be used to heal up. I don't know why Andy is preserving units. Unless Andy doesn't know about that day limit. The live game. Kindle definitely does. We're getting the capture. Goes for Urban Blight. Assume take the capture. There we go. That's gonna be game. Andy, do nothing. And attack with the Neo tanks. And start this capture, but it's too late. Why is it? That is not a draw. That's a win for Cadeor, unless there's like a lab or something around here. That's not. That was a win for Cadeor. Must have been a replay bug. GG. We have Lemon W100. Sasha. Question mark. Sasha. And Veinglor. Okay. Nope. Like that. I know, there's almost no vision of the wall. It can be tough. And I think every single player goes through the phase of like, oh, I should just, they're going to do global damage. They're going to do an Urban Blight. I'll just build the infantry. Nothing but infantry. It's fine. It's fine. I save repair costs. And then you somehow lose like in 3 turns because no reinforcement showed up. And that can be tough. It can be a tough habit to break because of that, right? Because you'll feel good from the repair costs being dodged, and then you'll lose in a couple turns after that. And you'll be like, I don't quite understand why I lost that. And then that game. It's just how it goes. I will say that I mean, there's always going to be a time you can come up with scenarios where you should do that, but as a rule, I would say don't do it. If, for instance, you really need infantry, then that would be a great time. Okay. We're going to have the tank pop out over here. Artillery can hold these properties really easily. So I would expect them to go to this player, and same over here. Like, infantry's capturing over here, artillery's guarding across a mountain. Very difficult to stop that. In the past on these maps, we've seen HQ caps, and we've kind of seen these central bases die. So I would expect something similar here. We do have Von Bolt versus Sasha, and Sasha tends to answer Von Bolt through tech ups or like lots of artillery. You really don't want to be fighting Von Bolt tank versus tank. It says tanks are just better than yours. But the artillery response can be really nice because they just have such high base damage that the extra stats of Von Bolt don't really matter too much. Also, of course, insanely cost effective. So, I mean, the tanks on tanks aren't that bad, but they're so much worse. You get addicted to the extra funds. I would So when you're playing Sasha, you have extra funds, and you need to figure out how are you going to leverage that. You either leverage it through faster tech ups, and you kind of out tech Bumbled stats, or you can win from like unit counts. So I can build more copters plus other things more often. That tends to be the two ways. I was gonna say this infantry like walks over here to go for these captures. I would not walk over here for these captures because these captures are not at all contested. There's like no way Vumbold's going to stop you from going for these. This capture might get contested because they're going to go for this comm tower, and then once they finish that comm tower, they can interrupt you. So instead, I would just move this infantry over here to go for this capture before they have a. I should decide to build another. Well, if it's not going to be necessarily bad. Like if a Vumbold tank is attacking from a road and you attack from a city, that's still going to be good for you. Well, yeah, if you're attacking from a city. What about if you're trying to stop Von Bolt from taking cities? Fluffy just stalls. Well, if you're stalling, just use artillery. Ooh, Von Bolt can be used. Okay. You don't tend to see. Well, I mean, I should say, Von Bolt artilleries are still really good. They're nice. It's just you don't tend to see them because they don't get to move and shoot, so they're harder to bully people with, which is what Von Bolt wants to be doing in the early game. Good night, Shadow. In this matchup, I would expect Von Bolt to be. Because extra stats are nice. We get this really good little harassment that Sasha got to do over here. And deny quite a few captures, actually. Or at least slow down a whole bunch of captures. Just kind of centralizing these tanks pretty nicely. Von Bolt does have like way better tanks than Sasha, despite what Fluffy says. But if you've got two tanks and they have one tank, then your two tanks. Okay, our copter. I like it. I mean, it's two tanks. You build a copter. They have to now invest in anti-air over here as well. The artillery. That's more of what you do. As long as only one tank can reach this, this is fine. If both tanks are able to reach, then you don't want to be sitting on this. Are mechs from the 2 base good? I don't think so. They kind of have a cheaty route over to like harass this, but it still takes a long time, right? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That can't be the fastest. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it's 5 turns to attack this base. That's a pretty long time. You might be able to do something like that. This is where Sasha gets a little punished for going down this way first. These HQs are kind of nonchalantly in the center, so sometimes people can just accidentally stumble on them and get an HQ cap. Looks like Von Bolt's gonna try and take out this top right base. Fun fact, if there's no comm towers, Sasha cannot interrupt a Von Bolt infantry all on its own. Like, this lone infantry will be unable to stop this, right? It walks up, it hits it down to 7. It gets knocked down to 6. It would have to hit this for 5 damage in order to stop it from getting the capture next turn, which you cannot do with the 6 health Sasha. Is Vumble privilege. And that means that this comm tower goes through even when being interrupted. Such is the power of having +10/+10 stats. I think if Sasha has a comm tower or 2, then you do stop it. We'll see what Bumble decides here. I would not want to try and just take out this top right corner. Just base plus airport versus base is awful. Especially against Sasha with the extra funds. If she goes medium tank copter, your lone base has no good answer. And if you're sending a bunch of tanks in, then they're just going to get trapped in this corner fighting medium. And if they try and back up, then the medium tanks come down and kill you. So I would not try and put pressure. Moving towards the center makes more sense. You have a Sasha mech over here. Try and chill these mountains, it looks like. Okay, so the comm tower capture goes through, but it gets moved up on the next turn, and now we have a threat. Try and take it. This infantry is going for this capture, but it's not actually guarded by anything currently. This is where things are going to get nasty. I would not go for this attack. I feel like, wait, Fluffy, did you say you knocked it down to 5? Well, Sasha has... Oh, I guess Sasha only has 1 comm tower. But still, I shouldn't have knocked it down. You must have been fighting a very injured tank. I think I chipped by your infantry, and then your infantry max rolled its chip, of course. Yeah, this is going to be nasty. So 7-6 when attacking from the city onto the plains. Bumble can just kind of put this tank back here, repair it, and it'll end up being a whole tank to do more damage. Or as the case may be, it might just go down here. Next. I'm just going to try and harass up here. I mean, it does kind of force an anti-air, but only kind of. Like, does Bumble really care if a Sasha copter comes over here and hits something? Maybe not. There goes that capture. It comes over here, interrupts this. It doesn't actually cover it. I assume tank comes over, smacks this tank interrupts this capture. Pop. Very weird to see this artillery just kind of in range of this mech, but the infantry do block, so it's fine. Whoa! No need to have this tank finish this off. I know it got struck first, and it's like it's angry, but there is an infantry just kind of capturing the city relatively unprotected that you could strike. Okay, the Sasha artillery is not quite in place, but it's very close to being in place. You're going for a lock on this base, and you have a second one coming up from the bottom. Actually, both players are going for an artillery pincer attack on the central base, which I don't think we've seen on this map. And yet both people are going for it. We'll see how it goes. So, artillery locks are pretty nasty. They're kind of either answered by they can kind of be answered by mechs that are built at the right time. They can also be answered by artillery hanging around your own base, or you can go tech ups. A neo tank before the artillery in place, pretty darn good because it can break through walls to get to the artillery, and if it gets to the artillery, it just one shots them. If the artillery do get into place, then mega tanks tend to be the answer because they take very little from artillery. But obviously, artillery costs 6,000 each, and a mega tank costs 28k. Is that right? We'll see how this goes. Do have a nice breakthrough over here. Hit the artillery with the tank. Tanks came back. Hold the line. Sasha is going to get this comm tower in. It also wiped the power bank of Bumble, which is very important. You do not want a Bumble super sneaking past. Bumble has laid claim to this Bubble Ice HQ. What's going on here is that this tank can no longer strike. After trying to be super sneaky. The tank comes out, pop, and now the mech can strike at Celeri. Knocking it down to 3. Pretty anti-air here that's helped cover against these copters. Pretty good 4-7 trade that Sasha just got there. Really running out of units in the middle for Sasha. Humboldt's kind of out of infantry in the middle, but has a tank. See if any of them down here. Ooh, get the kill on that one in the forest. If Humboldt starts sending some down here. I mean, there's somewhat of a threat of this HQ going down. Like, if a bunch of tanks from Humboldt just show up and clear all this out, there are infantry relatively nearby. So that Sasha really can't just take for this way. Like, continually saying over here. Rest in peace, mech. We knew you well. Not quite sure why that tank went for that attack. I guess they're like, there's only one spot for you guys to go to repair, and only one of you will do that. But you can always send both there, right? You can go 4 and then join. And then the 7 health tank wouldn't want to strike you because you'd be health tank. About to become a full health tank. Oof, oof. You hate to see it. Neo tank, 22k. What's it doing in life? Like, picking off 7 health infantry? That, like, the one that's not covered by an artillery? So expensive. Market crash. Goes charge. Hit that tank. Makes it so there isn't a great way of getting at this artillery currently. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6. Doesn't quite reach. Finish off that tank. Back. We're gonna build an anti-air to protect this. No, just build another neo tank over here. Well, I mean, Bumbolt is really close. Not quite there, but really close to just being able to take the HQ. Decides not to start that kind of pressure. probably would go tank plus copter to kill off this infantry. You have this tank. I guess you just sit here and continue to repair with this tank, and then you start the capture on the HQ, and then Sasha has to do something. I guess it's not quite good enough because there's not. If there was one more infantry around, I could go for a join cap next turn. I guess this guy could. Then it would be really good. We threw anything like a 3 or 4 turn each. Right now, Vomble's got more income than Sasha, which is something that Sasha really does not like to see. We're gonna have a property flip, 2 properties flip though, so that 3. That would be. Now they're basically even, which means Bumble's ahead in property. They're even in income. Sasha's got 27. They get 29. There's no longer a full health infantry in range. Okay. There's nothing. Oh no, there's this guy. I mean, Sasha does have 2 comm towers, so I think this infantry could successfully deny the capture. But there's nothing actually protecting these guys from these copters, so they could just interrupt, and then the city and maybe this city would end up falling. There's a bunch of artillery. Let's see what Bumble decides here. Looks like we are just going to take that guy out. Start taking some free cities. The artillery was not walled for quite well enough. Neo tank for strike. He's covered by a bomber. Our artillery friends. That's probably enough. Sasha's in a whole bunch of trouble. The main thing Sasha has going for them, potential attack going on at this base, but the mechs are proving pretty decent at contesting these artillery coming south. You have the market crash. The 2 Neo tanks over here have been pretty well answered. The tank. Really, this is what I'm talking about. Like, the artillery would love to go here, but the mechs, as long as they've got free reign over these mountains, they can stop that. Bam. The Neo tanks have been doing a little bit of work at like saving captures. It's just they're such an expensive investment to be fighting it. Okay. This city is going to go down. Down goes that copter. Oh, it's not going to go down. We're going to go for this city first. Okay. Didn't realize that this base was left completely open. I guess it makes sense because there's 2 artillery staring at it. Everybody, I mean base. Yeah. I'm surprised this Neo tank stuck around and just fired. It's now fired artillery. Now Sasha is looking super dead unless she can just kind of completely all in this HQ and take it. I mean, currently Vumble just has infantry around it, so not an impossible task as long as infantry should get in range. And this guy can very quickly. Let's see if that's how it goes. Looks like it is. Definitely walk to here. A little unfortunate this guy's alive because it is going to repair to 3 due to this. to do enough damage to not to make so this guy isn't capturing at full health. There goes the base. Rest in peace. These be fallen. I mean, I guess there's an off chance that Vumble doesn't quite realize that he's under a huge amount of threat. But Bomber needs to go up there. I guess Vumble's just gonna threaten to do their own HQ capture. Does have the rocket by. It's a little too late, but I think just having this guy injured is enough. If you're trying to go for a power here. So sad for this poor Mega Tank. It can't quite reach. Yeah, I think this is going to be an unstoppable capture. Sasha's is not an unstoppable capture. So Vumble going for this capture. Poor Neo Tank's in artillery range. There's a bomber nearby. The Mega doesn't even make it in. Yeah. That is G. They did end up flipping bases. But it ended up being an HQ, well, I guess it was flip based in HQ cap. Hello, hello. Shenpai is not pleased with that Mega. Understandable, understandable. Emphyx. Versus Savage the Beast on Scavanger. Alright, Savage the Beast, you get the Penguin. And Hello Comet. We got Rake versus Kindle. This is a classic match. You like the map we were just on, or this map? My worst. This is my worst map. Scavenger. We'll see how they decide to play this. There can be early recon attacks. If you go for early recon, I usually suggest attacking top corners, because they're really tough to both defend and to get another infantry over there, like the previous one. A big thing for this map can be destroying these type seams, because it gives the central base a much faster access down the middle. Sometimes that means that people will rush out the fastest possible artillery. I do frown on bringing out the fastest possible artillery, though, because it doesn't really matter at that stage in the game. You featured my game to show that the plan does not have to be complicated. Complicated plans are the best. But I don't recommend going for the fastest possible artillery, because it does give your opponent a lot of information about what your opening is. And it doesn't really matter early on if this pipe seam is gone or not. That's going to be something that matters more when you're mounting an attack going this direction, which is more like in the mid to late game. Savage the Beast doesn't care. He's going to go for the fastest possible artillery. You have the recon heading over here. Looks like it might get an interrupt over here. We'll see how this play. Also see if Emphyx is watching. Ooh, never mind. Savage the Beast does not go for the fastest possible. That's fine then. That's fine. This is okay to do because now it doesn't reveal that you don't have tanks guarding stuff, and instead the artillery is going to try and either guard these infantry or it's going to go in for a really quick HQ kill, which is something that can happen here. A little tragic to send this guy forward. Artillery into double recon. This is such a vulnerable opening to any recon harassment. Pop. Pop. The reason... Kindle definitely could have just finished this chapter. But the reason that Kindle went for that finish is this makes it so much more difficult for Savage the Beast to counter this with a tank. So if you have a tank now, let's say in these woods, you actually cannot avenge your infantry. This does not... The infantry have a sight range of 2. This cannot see these guys. The tank would just be sitting here, unable to attack this recon. It's in the darkness. However, there is no tank there, so it would have been fine to just finish it. There's not even a tank guarding this. Emphyx doesn't know that, though. Savage the Beast is kind of hoping that Emphyx doesn't know that. Yeah, doesn't go in with the recon strike. It would have been possible. But that would be a pretty gutsy one. It's not the worst thing to go for, though, because there tends to be a limited number of infantry that make it down here. So if your recon stops another one, that's not so bad. I wouldn't send the recon up like this, though. I think I probably would send it down here towards this corner and just leave it up there. Okay. Okay, it looks like we're just going into the center with this artillery. To guard this infantry guy. It's a good thing a recon got brought over here, because you'd run into the exact same situation where you're like, recon strikes, infantry strikes, this guy's gone, and then you're like, I guess this infantry will be able to walk over and spot that one for you. It wouldn't be the end of the world. Oh. So Emphyx is so sad here that this infantry did not walk to here first. I'm kind of surprised it didn't. If it did, you could have recon plus recon just kills this infantry. As is, we're going for recon on recon violence over here. It's a Kindle recon though, so it does some pretty good damage. But because that infantry did not spot this, the recon did not get to interrupt this capture, which it would have loved to do, instead of move onto the shoal and then immediately die. I guess it lives. We might have a recon finish up. Oh, the recon can't reach. Oh my gosh. It does live. Recon spots the tank. This recon knows where this artillery is. We might have it move up here and then the tank goes for the strike. It would be a little bit gutsy. You would kind of expect this to have some kind of coverage. It doesn't have any coverage, but you would like expect it to. Okay, so the tank did go in for the artillery strike. There wasn't any coverage. Like I would say somewhat covering, like it covers these two tiles, but not this one. The artillery will get away with its life though. And Savage the Beast is doing fine when it comes to captures, which is really good news because I actually got the interrupt on this capture, which I missed. Because this is a Drake versus Kindle matchup. We have a bunch of Kindle caps about to happen. And that means that Kindle's going to be really advantageous in the early game. And then that's kind of like the only time. So, like, maybe early game, early mid game, Kindle should be kind of kicking Drake's butt. Because Kindle's got an advantageous day to day, and she has a cheaper and useful normal power. Drake will just kind of start winning as soon as the first super lands. So Kindle needs to have a pretty decent advantage going into that stage of the game. Otherwise, global damage is just gonna do what global damage does. So it's good for Savage the Beast to have these two properties. Clearly hurting Kindle a lot, not getting the interrupt on this. Look at Fred. He's got 4 health and a dream. Smack, smack, smack. I'm gonna start the capture over here. Okay, maybe not. Just for the infantry kill, that's okay. There's a few different schools of thought around this kind of thing. It's like, do I finish off the infantry? Do I go for the capture? So if you kill off all the infantry, then you can kind of take all the captures uncontested, is one line of thought. As Kindle, I think I would lean more towards going for the capture because then you have a fight over a city, and Kindle really likes fighting over cities. So like right now, well, I mean, Drake's still up in income, which is really good. Like a little bit down in unit value, but nothing huge. Urban Blight hasn't hit yet, of course. Are we going to go in with a 6 health tank? Oh. This is the opposite. This is the opposite of being like, I'm gonna build 3 infantry when I see an Urban Blight coming. Savage the Beast is like, nah, man. I'm gonna build a battleship when I see that Urban Blight coming. Just know what the repairs, they don't matter. They don't matter. Okay, so the battleship is hidden from Kindle. We are going to use the Urban Blight. It's going to do a lot of damage. We didn't get to see the value dip on the battleship. That must have been a new update to the replay. Viewer. Start the capture. Let me go back to the start there. What Kindle would love to do here, and unfortunately didn't go for it, is kill off this tank, strike from this city to one-shot this artillery, kill this artillery, maybe kill off this anti-air, and then like the copters flood in. This instead Kindle's going to focus on striking down here, which I can kind of understand. The one is like, Kindle just doesn't quite have enough vision. If there was a recon that could come up here and like hit this infantry and reveal this layout, then for sure Kindle would have just cleaved through all of this. But that's not what's going to happen here. And you can see the problem is it sends the units down here. They kill these out, and then what do these two tanks do? They needed their friends to clear the way to take out the artillery. They don't really want to attack into the artillery. They go for some fairly lackluster attacks there. So, yeah, Drake took like 10,000 or something more than we, maybe even more. You have the Drake battleship. We'll see what it attacks. I'll be a tank. Boom. Typhoon. For the Typhoon, we get to see all the damage. It does a ton. And it makes all of the captures take longer. It, of course, interrupts the captures that are underway, but it's also slowing down the captures that are like going to start next turn, which is something that's like next level above what Kindle does. I don't think that Kindle has realized that there's a battleship here because we're still fighting into it. The rain does reduce the vision, although even without the rain, there's no recon. The battleship's going to get the fire again with some more indirect friends. You can see if Kindle was fighting up here, then Drake would be really, really, really sad because everything is down here. Fortunately, that's where the fighting is happening. And the battleship play is paying off. This capture is protected as well. I mean, battleship is Drake against Kindle is probably like a really nice play. It's so long term. I would be maybe a little bit concerned about like a swarm of copters coming in, but we do have the anti-air ready. And the battleship does have a ton of defense on the harbor. Down goes that tank. Kindle's probably figured out that there is a battleship at this point. It's almost paid for itself now, because it's fired on like 3 different tanks and taken them out. That's still not, it has to kill 4 tanks to pay for itself, but the tempo win on it is also. Okay, now Kindle's figured it out, is going to go for a front switch. It might be a little bit too late. Definitely painful to figure it out after 3 turns of a battleship firing on you. Battleship moving forward does mean it can help cover the city. And of course it won't be hit by the urban blight. Checking in on the artillery. Just going for that city, which somehow has not been captured yet. I capture. Now goes the copters. Anti-air. It's kind of forward, but it's going forward to kill a copter, so you can't really aim that. We have some Drake copters coming in here too. I don't know if this is. This looks like it's the old Drake. Not. I assume so. So the copters are still at minus 20% firepower. It does get that city, which is nice, but Drake is just in such a good position for the long haul here. Up in income, about to have another super, has a battleship covering a bunch of cities. A pretty decent attack in for Kindle, but now we're going to have the Drake super in response. Kindle realized that there's been a huge vision problem, goes for the triple recon buy. That's sometimes like halfway to the triple infantry buy, but I do prefer triple recon over triple infantry. Sometimes you just really do need that much vision. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Savage the Beast making a little bit of a mistake with their own vision. It happens. It happens. When you make it rain, you do cut your own vision down. Always make sure to plan out your turn before the rain and factor in the vision loss. Boom. This Blackwood's down to 1 health. This is down to 9 fuel. They're both really close to just kind of falling over. Fortunately for Savage the Beast, a battleship does a really good job of covering this HQ. I wouldn't be too concerned about losing to an HQ cap. And while Drake could definitely go for an HQ cap pretty soon here, just from the fuel, it's not something that Drake really has to go for, because the super is just so strong. As you can see, the wear and tear has really done a number. Kindle is way down in unit value, kind of doing okay in unit count, and of course down in unit count. You have a bunch of vehicles coming down here to try and cover this capture. The battleship... Okay, this is definitely the city to go after because the battleship can't cover it. It can almost cover it, but it can move down and help in a fight still. We do have a problem here for Kindle, though. That was the only infantry over here. So while the tanks might be able to take out the defending units, there won't be any of the captures. Even if the tanks go up and take out the battleship, or not the battleship, the black boat, nothing will really come of it. This infantry has a long walk before it can go for captures, which is a lot of time that Drake can spend either going for the kill on the HQ or sending reinforcements down here. Oh. Hi again, Shadow. Aye, aye, Captain. Yeah, artillery just kind of backs up. Bold tanks, they rush forward. And then Kindle just resigns. I think that's a fair resign. The battleship play ended up being really good. The recon missing out on interrupting the city was so painful. So very nice. Savage the Beast bluffed me or psyched me out with the early artillery buy, moving it over here just to move it down here. It ended up being pretty decent. I mean, that's a little bit complex, Savage. But I think that's pretty classic for Drake. I mean, like, I'm just going to stall this game because the more units that my opponent has, the better my supers are. That's true. It would have been devastating if you'd gone for the hit on that type seam. Because then that recon at the bottom just would not have given up like it did. It would just like stop everything. I'm glad you didn't do that. Yeah, there's a design map channel in the Discord. We got Tesla versus Matemon. I think Tesla. If I remember correctly, Tesla is the adder main. This is high funds. Open face like that. Or asking me that. Okay. So I think I don't quite remember if Lash is tier 4 in high funds. But it might be that Tesla's going a little bit of an underpick here. The adder performs really well in high funds, so I wouldn't be. This is a map that generates some banger games. Okay. You might be interested in, or you might be a little confused on what on earth is this opening layout to the map. Like, player 2 owns these base, like a base here and a neutral base there, and owns this base, and neutral base here. This is all just FTA stuff. This isn't really owning the base, right? Player 1 goes first. The infantry steps onto it, starts capturing. This one goes over here, starts capturing. So all this really does is provide 1 turn of extra income for player 2 to help offset turn advantage and high funds with the extra money going on. It just looks kind of fun, but it's all just trying to balance out the turn advantage. As you can see here, since there's an infantry on the base, it can't build. And now you can see that the state here is they both have 2 infantry. So it's kind of like, it's like this one built, it's kind of like player 1 just built. But this one's going to be able to move first for player 2, and then this one gets to move first for player 1. So they're both ahead on one. So, ooh, move the transport copter off really early. That is shocking. It's kind of cute though. So typically you'd want to go from this, like have this infantry go over here and go for this capture. But that's not a possibility. It's not like the worst situation here for adder, because this infantry can go here, this infantry can go here, and then they're both lined up to go for cities down here. But the transport copter could then move to here and actually block both of those, which would be so cute. It does mean that adder gets to just build a copter really fast. So it does. It goes over here. It'll block both of these captures, which is definitely an economic hit. And then the transport copter can be used from these bases. I mean, I kind of like it. Because instead what happens is, like, the anti-air gets built and then the transport copter has to leave the airport anyway. It's true. If the penguins don't go for the base capture, then the game is. So, adder does get to have more copters sooner. We'll see if that ends up offsetting the economic damage, because it is a pretty decent amount of economic damage. Like 4K, maybe a little bit more if these being slowed down means I can't go for other captures. The denial on this capture doesn't really matter because that infantry was still able to go towards this capture. So really it was just these two. Okay, and the copters do get to do stuff here. Like, they're already forcing out anti-air. I'm surprised we didn't have it go straight up. Gonna force out another anti-air. I guess it was worried about the return of the... If, like, the mech hops in the transport copter, and then the transport copter goes over here and drops the mech off or something? I don't know. Tesla goes for a really quick artillery. A way to break these pipe seams. Unlock the double base going up this way. Affect more state parts of the map. We do have the transport copter unloading a mech over here. These bases exert a little bit of influence down here. Getting the harbor is nice for sure. The mech over here helping to cover these guys against the wind. Okay, the artillery is not going to go for breaking the pipe seam. It's going to come down here. I guess it's going to try and lock the harbor. It's not here fast enough to deny the harbor. They can't be here to here. But I guess something could be going for an attack, and then artillery would then be able to deny it. That might be what we have going on here. So many anti-airs are being forced out from Matemon. Although this one wasn't really forced out. Oh no, it was. It would take the transport copter out. But fortunately, anti-airs are like, in high funds, it's not that big of a deal. In standard, it's a huge deal to have to build all of these anti-airs early on. In high funds, they're kind of like recons, right? They can go around and they can super harass infantry. I mean, they're not free, but they cost twice the value of a recon while you're making twice the amount of money you normally would, so they're kind of like your recon. It's not the end of the world to have to build a bunch of them. Okay, so the artillery does make it over here. It's going to cost Copter its life. Potentially. I mean, the artillery gets the fire, so maybe not. Okay, lots. Oh my gosh. Lots of artillery coming out for Adder. And we do have a lab potentially under threat here. We have a little fungal line of infantry. But there's two labs here. I mean, they're both kind of under threat. It would be... Okay, so we do, of course, kill off the copters. Just whether or not the artillery strike plus tank strike is enough to kill off this air. I don't think it quite will be. Because the tank's so injured. Decides to hit this infantry down to 9. It does slow down the capture for a whole turn, which in high fun, slowing down captures are huge. Ooh, Mega Tank, okay. Mega Tank's one-shot pipe seams. I don't know if that's what this hole is. That might be. Yeah, it's going to survive. That goes for the capture. Infantry going for the capture. Fire on that poor innocent pipe seam. We're going to build the bomber. If the anti-airs want to go near an airport, especially in high funds, you really need a buddy system going on, because this kind of thing can happen a lot. Bombers, if you don't know, can one-shot anti-airs if they're like on relatively neutral terrain. A little Marco map. And some things that Andy and specifically can do, because oftentimes you can't really build the bomber if the anti-air can reach. But Andy, against COs that don't have an attack boost, can just kind of build a bomber in range of the anti-air and just not care. Because the anti-air runs up, it hits you down to 2, you do like a damage back. Start your turn, you repair up to 4, you hit your super, you're up to 9, and you just kill the anti-air. Fun facts for anyone that plays Andy in high funds. Oh, Lash is threatening to take that lab. It's not the end of the world, of course, because Adder still has this one. But it might be a good call, because Adder's a little bit spicy over here, a little bit spicy over here. You never know when that extra movement's going to come in and surprise lab caps. Might as well take this one while you have it in your sights. I don't think we're going to go for it right away, though. It's probably just going to be go for the city first, because it gives extra money, and then go for the lab. We do have the Adder side slip come in. We'll go for this harbor. It's the mech. Tower captures transport copter going to go for a cheeky block here. Bomber moves on over, going to build another bomber. Tank. It's the tank, okay. I think that's to make it so it's harder to kill this transport copter off. Celeri fire. Pipe seam will go down next turn. They do have this lab, but started to be captured. It might, well, they might finish it or they might not. I would probably just go for the city first because that's another 2k. But they might want the lab. Unless they were threatening this lab. They're not. Yeah, going for that city first. After the anti-air knocks it down to 3, the copter can try and finish it off. Does get the finish off. Now there's no anti-airs or copters over here. Up with this attack. There's an anti-air on its way. Okay, so the anti-air is going to interrupt this comm tower. It is attacking from a forest, so that's not neutral terrain. The bomber will not get that free one-shot. Although it's still an advantageous attack. So I will expect the bomber would go for that. Good old transport copter. We do have a fighter coming out. Usually when you start seeing fighters come out in high funds, it starts making a fighter arm race where both players are just pumping out the fighters for air domination. As it can be really difficult to fight an Air Force with a non-Air Force. Forest doing its job. Okay, anti-air goes down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So even with the Lash power, that bomber does not get hit. Lots of anti-airs over here. We have anti-airs coming out for Adder as well. Bomber just chilling on this harbor. We do have this harbor go through. We'll see if Tesla ends up using this for, I assume, battleship. The battleship can't move out. The shoal could go for like landers and stuff, but I mean, there's always the dream of like, I build a lander, I load it with mega tanks, I unload them like right next to the double base. But I imagine it might be a battleship just to cover all these properties. So we do have the Lash Supa. Smack saves the city. The double anti-air, so they have their buddy system going on. Makes it much more difficult for bombers to deal with. Because you can't just hit one. Like over here, you hit it, and then there's no good counterattack against it. If there's a full health, and if there was another full health anti-air around, then bomber would not be happy. Ooh, the fighter's getting in range of the bomber. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 2. Yeah. Usually there's like a kill range to keep in mind. Probably doesn't matter. With the fighters of the bomber, it's going to be how much faster is it? The bombers move 7, fighters move 9. So if the fighter ever gets to be within 2 squares of the bomber can no longer outrun the fighter. The fighter can catch up to it next turn unless something gets in it. Now, it's not quite true for Adder, right? Because the bombers can get their extra movement. So sometimes they can sneak away even when they would normally be taken out. This isn't quite in that range. It's almost there. Up. Mega takes a guy out. We are going to go for an adder super. Zoom. Infantry walks over, starts going for that capture. Anti-air zooms on down here, takes out an infantry. Another capture. Fire with the artillery. Ooh. Okay. I was wondering if this infantry was going to go for this capture or if it was going to try and block to protect the bomber. Looks like it's going to go for the protect. I think this holds. Copter can kill this 5 health infantry, and then the anti-air can't reach them. The fighter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, the fighter reaches the bomber presently. The anti-air doesn't reach. We didn't have any. There wasn't quite enough blocking it. Oh, the fighter will get the strike. A little bit of a hiccup there for Tesla. I don't know if it was possible to protect the bomber from the fighter. Down it goes. After, I mean, the fighter does still have to fight inside anti-air range. It's going to survive, though, as one anti-air is going to go after the copter. We do have the battleship from Adder covering the piece. It's probably a good value. It's not as good as it could be. These are like neutral properties that are being covered. We'd really love to be covering like enemy cities. Start having a mega spam coming out for Lash. Okay, this mega's getting some value, has broken out on this front. Now, of course, the battleship can't move here, but look at all that stuff. Adder took the shot. Might as well. Good damage to the mega. Now goes that copter. We do hit the fighter down to 3. Sometimes you don't go for the hit on the fighter. It really, I mean, you would here because you still have a lot of air force. You always have to keep in mind that it does give a lot of charge. So a little bit of a surround. I mean, the surround can of course be cleared pretty easily. The other bomber goes down. There's no air force, like anti-airs or anything guarding these copters, so the fighter can definitely go and pester them. Copters do not get to strike back at fighters. Really annoying to deal with. And this is kind of why it usually goes into a fighter's arm race. But in this case, Adder did not answer the fighter with a fighter, so we just get to see one fighter ruling the skies for now. While the megas rule the ground. Tesla is going to get some really cheeky captures, like this capture right next to the base. But currently down in unit value by a fair bit. We'll see if these cheeky captures can stick. That tends to be the ultimate test. It's not so much whether or not you can take that, it's whether or not you can. We'll see. We do have the prime tactic. I think this allows this anti-air to one-shot this. Yeah. And then that'll just take the city. Okay, the fighter's going to be a little annoying. He's just going to sit here to stop movement through here. It doesn't go after the copter like it could. Obviously, the unit count down here for Lash, not the best. So, making it so there's not quite so many threats on the cities is probably a good idea. Adder's had this comm tower denied for so long, but he's going to get it next turn. Looks like the megas are going to come over here and start putting a lot of pressure on this base. Tesla is already prepared, though, has a mega of their own. That bomber threading here. Say anti-airs are going to have to do their spawns. Of course, a little lackluster. It's not exactly what you want to have. I mean, they're good, but they're not fighter level. Okay, we do have the megas coming out. This is about half the income to build a mega. Obviously not ideal, but it does suck to just kind of lose. That is, like, this is a base losing threat for sure. Okay, let's get the comm tower. Currently, Tesla is up by quite a bit. Oh, okay, I mean, captures go through. There were steals, so Tesla's still up, but not by as much. This is very intimidating. Luckily, Lash doesn't have any charge, so there's not going to be easy kills on these megas, and Adder's going to have a little bit of advantage when it comes to zoning. The big problem that we're going to start seeing here is that there is a mixture of units coming in. We have 3 megas and soon to be 3 bombers. Like, what do you build against that? If you build anti-airs, then the ground forces take you out. If you build like mega tanks, then the air forces plus the ground force. When you have only one base to be building out of, you can run into huge problems. The Tesla is going to react by trying to like strike on other parts of the map and just, you know, even if I lose this base, I'm going to gain a lot out of it, which is not a bad course of action. It's definitely the thing you want to do. Punish your opponent for having to move themselves out of position. I really don't like that the anti-air, I guess it had to sit here so that it couldn't get hit by the bomber. But it's just, it's not great that it's sitting in range of just a tank. As you can see, bombers aren't amazing. They're fine, but it's not like bombers against everything. So this is probably a dead base. I don't know how it's going to quite survive against the triple bomber threat. There's going to be whether or not Tesla is going to be able to get enough compensation for this. They've been doing a really good job of denying this harbor, but how much that ends up mattering, we will see. The megas get to hit the megas, but a nice interrupt on the infantry. That is definitely annoying. There's a copter here to go for the strike, but that's all. We don't have. Where's the fighter? Oh, it's way down here, just chilling. Okay, so Tesla's gonna get these cities, which is pretty darn cute, and a lot of pressure on the double base. But at the same time, kind of, there's no follow-up to it, so this is just an annoyance pressure. It's like, aha, I took your 2 cities and now I'm gonna try and fight over here. Fortunately for Matemon, there's still quite a few ground forces left. Where over here was like just an anti-air and a bunch of megas. So a lot of wiggle room for Matemon to just kind of back up and hold the line pretty decently. We also don't have a bomber fleet. Oh, we do have a fighter coming out from Tesla, so the arms race may now officially begin. There was nothing built at this base, so that means that the infantry just gets to start capping. And I probably would have built something just so the units couldn't start leaving quite yet. I think the mega should kill this. Probably a mistake to move it, because you really don't need a mega moving over here, and you might as well just kill off the copter. Pretty sure they hit copters for like 50% base. Okay. So this is going to be really bad for Tesla if this base survives, which it very well could. It has a lot more time to react, and it has reinforcements coming in. We'll see if it builds anything out of the harbor, because that's one thing that Tesla did not do. Try and save this piece. Obviously, you can't really build carriers at this point because the bomber's just going to hit you. Maybe not. I guess you could build a carrier if you use Prime Tactic. Have it covered with anti. Ooh, it's going to strike first. Take out that copter. Beep, beep, go after the artillery. Take out the infantry, pretty nice. And here we go, we have a fighter coming out. It's going to be able to get here pretty darn quickly. There's a fighter over here, but you can always cover your fighter with anti-airs or another fighter. And there's this fighter too. Down to 3 health and 5 fuel, but there is an APC on its way. The rocket backs off. I assume we're going to build just another anti-air. Okay. I mean, there's triple megas coming in. They're still on route. Even with adder extra movement, they're still pretty slow on. Okay, Mega goes after the recon over here. That's one less Mega that's attacking this corner. And all of this stuff is going to start flipping really soon here. There's the fighter. We are officially in the fighter's arms race. Okay, infantry get taken out. The rocket's going to get the fire here. Probably going to fire at the infantry. I think I would do... Oh, maybe you don't do that. Ooh, Tesla builds a missile. Okay. Axe up there. Anti-airs can't currently reach. Oh, no, they can. This rocket can kill this tank on the road, and then this anti-air could hit this bomber. I don't want it to. There is only 2 bombers here. I don't know about sending in the other anti-air. I guess you don't have a great place to put it. I know the same situation that Tesla ran into over here, but now there's only a single bomber, so... Well, I guess you do really want to put it here. Because right now, while this is a 2 health bomber and a full health bomber, if you build a mega tank, they just like full health, 2 health, or a 2 health, full health like that. They like lock you in. The fighters aren't quite there in time. It's still probably worth doing. I guess you could build a cruiser, right? You can go mega tank cruiser. And then the cruiser's protecting this tile. Looks like we're not going to do that. We're just going to build an infantry. Matemon giving up on this base. I think it might be holdable because there's a bunch of reinforcements coming in. And even if there's not a bunch of reinforcements coming in, a little weird that Adder's going for this, but just because Adder's already at full charge. It does also force Tesla to send more stuff into this direction while you're attacking on other spots of the map. Here we go for the Sidewinder. First the capture on that harbor. Here's the base, stands on the base. Out the rocket. Nice infantry coming in for these captures. This fighter's gonna go down. I took out a bomber. Pretty good. Yeah. Double missile. Rocket goes down. Rest in peace. We're gonna have anti-air fighter attack over here. And what do? You have like, I guess because that bomber got taken out, you can't go like bomber. I don't think you really wanted to anyway. Yeah, just 2 anti-air take it out. The bomber could go after the rocket. You wouldn't want to now though. I mean, this isn't captured yet. If it was captured, then you might do it. I guess if it's captured, what you'd do is you'd wait for your super. Okay. Tesla will start capturing the base this turn. They're really nice. Just mass property capture go on there. And hold this base fairly successfully. There's no bombers with this attack, so just building mega tanks should be fine. Okay. All these properties get captured. Matemon's like maybe one of the first times in the game is up in income. We do clear the way over here, but again, there's no bombers. There's still an anti-air. You can't just like block this in with fighters. Okay, use the super, starts capturing this. The rocket is now forced to choose between which one it wants to interrupt. It's probably going to interrupt the harbor, right? Indeed it does. Now there's 2 rockets staring at the harbor. And the battleship does cover a lot, so I can understand that. You don't really want Lash with the battleship there. That's so much firepower. Look at all those megas all grouping together. Having a grand old time. And Lash really wishes they were Rachel. Boom, boom, rockets. Rockets kill rockets. Down goes this rocket. The bomber will get hit by a missile. The missile's gonna get its value. Good job, missile. APC, transporting the infantry from over here. Looking good. So the map has successfully been divided in 2 from its mixed base origins. Megas are holding. We have another missile built over here. I guess missile mega is the is the new theoretical end game for high funds. Okay, the map has been not quite. Oh yeah, it's not quite evenly split down the middle because Tesla was able to steal these 2 properties. It has been unmixed. Okay, looks like we're just posturing, and then Tesla resigns. What? I'm not quite sure why Tesla resigned in that spot. I guess just really didn't like the stare off. I mean, there's a lot of pressure going on these 2 properties, for sure. Like the double rockets covering these are nasty. Lash does have the fighter advantage, which is really annoying too. But the missiles, you know, the missiles were doing missile things. It does look like a nightmare to play, though. This looks like it's global league, judging by the date. Maybe they were resigned missiles. I don't think this missile ended up doing anything, but this one got to kill a bomber. And they spent quite a few turns dissuading stuff to attack. But GG, I hope everyone enjoyed. I leave you with your apple, and thanks for watching. Is similar to how your game ended up. Wow. Good night.
It's Go7, king of the penguins. Of all the penguins, he is king. It's Go7, king of the penguins. Being king of the penguins, that's his thing.